Hello everyone and welcome to my video, and in this video I'm really excited to share my mini research project with the title Semantic Change in the Sign of War, a famous novel by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Victorian novel from the 1890. We're gonna use this novel as our linguistic lens, and my goal is to explore how the meanings of our everyday words have drastically shifted between Victorian era and modern English. And as we all know, language is often treated as something set in stone. But as we will see today through the word of Sherlock Holmes, language is anything but permanent. Before we dive into the specific vocabulary, let's address a fundamental question. Why does semantic change matter? Well, the reality is that language is a living, breathing organism. It is constantly changing, driven by social shifts, cultural movements, and technological advancements. When we study semantic change, we aren't just looking at words. We are uncovering the history of human society itself. Classic literature, for example, like The Sign of War, gives us a perfect snapshot of English frozen in time. By looking at this text through a semantic lens, we learn a crucial lesson is that we must never take word meanings as fixed or permanent, and we must always read with historical context in mind. To guide this analysis, we rely on established semantic frameworks from linguistic scholars. Semantic change is not random, as linguist John Lyons noted in 1977. It follows distinct patterns rooted in human cognition and culture. For this study, I am focusing on four primary mechanisms. The first one is narrowing. When a word's meaning becomes more specific or restricted over time, as outlined by Stephen Ullman. The second one is widening. It's the exact opposite of narrowing, where a specific meaning expands to cover a broader range of uses. The third one is pejoration. When a word shifts downward, gaining a more negative or offensive connotation due to changing social attitudes. The fourth one is amelioration. It is the opposite of pejoration. This means a word actually gains more positive or respectable meanings over time. To give you a bird's eye view of my findings, this table maps out the right here. This table maps out the 10 core words extracted from the novel. And as you can see, our dataset spans across various chapters and covers a fascinating mix of semantic shifts. We can see the direct total shifts, like from the words gay and ejaculate, and also knave. We also see the examples of amelioration with the word curious. And we also have a widespread pejoration affecting words, like awful, smells, and quench. And finally, with the semantic words narrowing in a words like singular, intercourse, and foul. And over the next few minutes, I will be break this down pairs by pairs to see exactly how these changes manifest in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's text versus our everyday modern conversations. Let's start with my first two words. Both of these words found right in chapter 1 from the novel, and the words are gay and curious. In the Victorian era, if Sherlock Holmes described a scene or a person as gay, he simply meant they were happy, cheerful, or full of life. It was completely neutral, positive adjective. But today, The dominant meaning has undergone a complete semantic shift to mean homosexual, moving from a general emotional descriptor to a specific identity label. And our second word is curious. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle frequently uses curious to mean something strange, peculiar, or odd. Over the last century, this word underwent amelioration. It shed its slightly negative or weird connotation and shifted into positive intellectual trait. Curious right now means eager to discover, question, or learn. Moving into the next chapter, chapter 2 from the novel, we encounter oval and singular. The word oval originally meant exactly what it sounds like, something that inspires awe, or something deeply impressive and majestic. In the novel, it carries a sense of profound weight and seriousness. Today, however, it has suffered from severe pejoration. It has lost its majesty entirely and now almost exclusively means very bad or terrible. Similarly, when Holmes talks about a singular event, he meant it is remarkable or extraordinary. In modern English, singular has experienced semantic narrowing mixed with partial pejoration. We now mostly use it as a grammatical term or to mean something is simply odd, stripping away the original sense of admiration. And now we move on to the chapters 3 and 4, which feature perhaps the most striking and amusing examples of semantic evolutions. The two words are ejaculate and smells. Modern readers are often shocked to see Victorian characters ejaculating mid-conversation, but in 1890, this is simply meant to suddenly exclaim or shout out lines of dialogue in surprise. Over time, cultural and biological context completely overrode the word's dominant meaning, meaning it shifted almost entirely to a sexual bodily function. It is a dramatic example of how a word can be completely redefined by society. In chapter 4, we see the word smells. Historically, to say something smells was completely neutral. It just meant detecting any odor, pleasant or unpleasant. Today, it has undergone pejoration. If you tell this, if you tell someone that this room smells, you don't mean it smells like flowers. The verb automatically implies a negative foul odor, like maybe a smell of a trash, something like that. And in chapter 6 and 7, I found the word wench and intercourse. Originally, wench was a casual, neutral term for a young woman or girl, like women, commonly used for female servants without being an insult. However, history shows that words describing women are uniquely vulnerable to pejoration. Over the decades, it shifted downward to imply a promiscuous or low-status woman, and is now considered offensive. And then we have intercourse. In the Victorian era, social intercourse meant general communication, conversation, or mutual exchange between people. Today, it serves as a textbook case for semantic narrowing. A broad term for human connection has been drastically reduced and restricted to mean one specific thing, which is sexual activity. And then we reach our final two words at the end of the novel and the chapter 9 and chapter 11. From the chapter 9, I found the word foul. So, foul carries a heavy moral and physical weight, meaning morally wicked, dishonest, or evil. In modern English, the moral gravity of the word has narrowed significantly. We now primarily use it to describe physical sensations, like a foul smell or taste, or in sports to indicate something like an illegal play. Like in football, when you tackle someone, it's a foul. And then the last words that we have is in the chapter 11. I found the word knave. In the Victorian era, a knave was highly untrustworthy, dishonest man, and a genuine rogue or villain carrying a strong negative judgment. Today, the severe moral condemnation of the word has completely vanished. It has undergone a total semantic shift, and outside of archaic contexts, it is now it is now known almost exclusively as neutral playing card, the jack. To conclude my analysis of these 10 words that I found from the Sign of War novel, it proves that semantic change is never random. It is deeply intertwined with cultural evolution and shifting social values. Words are not fixed containers of meaning, they morph alongside the communities that use them. As we saw with words like ejaculate and intercourse, the shift can be so profound that using them in their original Victorian sense today would cause complete confusion or social awkwardness. Furthermore, we noted patterns showing that words tied to emotional states, bodily functions, and description of women are uniquely vulnerable to rapid change. And ultimately, understanding semantic understanding understanding semantic change is not just academic exercise. It is essential tool for educators, translators, and literary analysts, and anyone practicing intercultural communication. It reminds us to always read with empathy, depth, and above all, historical context. With all that being said, this is my presentation for my mini research paper, and thank you for watching. Signing off.